Welcome back to the terrace. Lots to jump into today, lots to talk about today. Transfer news, title race debates, Chelsea's pursuit of new ownership as well. We're covering many, not all, but many of the top six teams. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. And of course, download the top six podcast. The new one is now out on Spotify. Let's take a little listen here to Gary Neville talking about the title race. Very interesting indeed.
Throwing, kicking it out for a corner, not showing composure as defenders. I was more worried about the back four, White, Tierney, Holding, and Gabriel. The things that they started to do in that last hour were things that would just start to unnerve me a little bit. I've seen it before, where you just start not to control the ball. When the ball comes into you and it's an easy header or an easy takedown, you bring it down your chest, you just pass it into midfield. They started heading it out of play. They started heading it into midfield, into West Ham players. They started doing things which you might not ordinarily notice as being a lack of composure, but there were many signs of a lack of composure from their back players and actually a couple from their midfield players as well. So just in terms of that game, I think it's a wobble. There's no doubt that's a wobble. But there's still a long way to go. 8 games to go is still a fifth of this league.
Gary Neville's spot on there. And I think that, of course, fans are always going to over index and react in certain ways. There'll be rivals that want to write Arsenal off. There'll be Arsenal fans that want to almost say it's done. So the pressure's taken away from them. But there's a lot of football still to be played. And only once in the last 5 years have City gone through their last 10 games and won all of them. So there is still the possibility they will drop points as well.
And people were telling me we were on a run-in like 8-10 weeks ago. It was like madness. And I was like, what am I listening to? Oh, Arsenal are nearly there. Arsenal nearly there. It's like nonsense. And that doesn't mean, they can. The big thing for me is they can go 7 points clear on Friday night against Southampton. They mustn't make a mistake in that game, and they must look assured and full of authority. There's no doubt in their minds now there'll be a little bit of there'll be a bit of that going on, but there's no need to be. This was
Gary Neville's right again. I said it last night in the top six. This kind of victim mentality. Oh, it's okay, guys. We did well. It's a great season anyway. Doesn't matter if we don't win the league. It's got to go. They've got to have a rocket up their ass Monday morning in training. And then from today, which is Tuesday when this is being recorded, there's got to be an element of right. We are the best team in the league. That's why we're top. When all is said and done, if City win their game in hand today, they're a point clear of City. They've been the best team in the league this year. Go and show it against Southampton and go into the game at the Etihad 7 points clear.
always going to happen. On a marathon, you're always going to have difficult moments. You're never going to have it easy. It's not a bed of roses. You know what I mean? You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have injuries. You're going to miss penalties. You're going to have your goalkeeper maybe letting one in that he shouldn't do. And some weeks he'll save 5 or 6. But today, I think they just need to make sure they recover for Friday night and take it a single game at a time. Get 7 points in front. And for Manchester City, as much as they are a powerhouse and they look like they're sort of striding forward, it's still a daunting task when you look at a team. Even though you've got 2 games in hand and you play against them, still not nice to look at the actual table and see that you're 7 points behind. Manchester City will be buoyed tonight. They'll be feeling, hang on a minute, something's happening. I would be if I was them. I'd be smelling blood. And Arsenal just got to resist those thoughts. They've got to maybe not look at the newspapers, not look at the social media, not look at the reports for the next couple of days, because there'll be that suggestion that City are sort of coming on top. You're always going to have to cope with that. The year that Blackburn beat us to win the league, there was a point whereby they looked like they were going to falter and they came back. So it's a wobble, but you can recover from wobbles. The main thing is they don't let it be something, they don't fall off the bike. And that would mean dropping points against Southampton at home. So do your job against Southampton, be solid, get 7 points clear, and the Manchester City game at the Etihad will be a once-in-a-lifetime game which will take care of itself.
Gary Neville's right there. A lot of people are already predicting simple win for Man City. There'll be no problems. Arsenal have made mistakes in the last 2 games. They really should be going into this game at the Etihad anywhere between sort of 10 plus points clear. They shouldn't have dropped points to Liverpool. They shouldn't have dropped points to West Ham. But 7 points clear still puts all the pressure on Man City. All the pressure. Because if they drop points in any capacity, they get a draw. They're 7 points with just 1 game in hand. And with that 1 game, if they win it, it's still 4 points. Then all the ascendancy is back with Arsenal. If Arsenal beat them, it could be over. Of course, if they win, they become the outright clear favourites. But there's so much jeopardy in that game. It's going to be amazing. Brilliant words there from Gary Neville. Up next, some transfer and takeover news for you all. Make sure you're hitting the like and the share button. Let's do it. So, Liverpool Football Club have met with Ryan Gravenberch's representations in Amsterdam last week. There's been a number of reports, and the first one here that we'll put up in big for you from Mike Neville, that Gravenberch is not happy with the lack of game time at Bayern Munich. There's also talks of Man United and Arsenal also being interested in the player as well. The midfielder wants to play more, whether that's at Bayern Munich or elsewhere. He's open to a move away, kind of similar to Sabitzer that's joined Man United, just isn't getting the game time that his talent deserves. A lot of the Dutch press believe that Gravenberch is better than Jude Bellingham. They think that he is an absolute star. There are some reports from Germany that suggest he will not move. Bayern Munich will not let him leave. They see him as part of the future. And of course, the players' representation may very much be using the Liverpools, the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals as a way of kind of forcing Tuchel and Bayern Munich to play him a bit more, to promise him some extra game time, to make him a figurehead of the team. Maybe make him a star of the team as opposed to a revolving member of the first team lineup and squad. But he is a talented player. No matter who you come across, he's talented. Liverpool need reinforcements. Man United, Arsenal, all of our clubs need reinforcements in the middle. I wanted to ask all a question, though. Do you think he's better than Jude Bellingham? And if he's available at half the price of Jude Bellingham, is he a better investment than 120, 30, 40, 50 that the Englishman would require to bring in, like would take you to bring in? Is that a better option for the Liverpools and the Man Uniteds to focus on? And how much more of a player or less of a player, or is it pound for pound the same, are you getting? I would love to get your views on that. However, I want to reiterate that right now, according to the media, Liverpool are the front runners from the English teams to get him. So, Liverpool fans, how are you feeling about that? Now, staying with Arsenal, which is really interesting, is there's two stories. Firstly, Wilfried Zaha. It states here that Marseille have joined Arsenal in the race to sign Wilfried Zaha, who's a free agent in June. Now, I wanted to ask Gooners this question. Zaha was a player you were linked to for many years. I would say in the last 10 years, you must have been linked to him about 4 or 5 times. Is now the right time to bring him in on a free transfer? So there's no massive fee. Remember, nearly £70 million you paid for him 4 or 5 years ago. He'll probably come in, 100 grand a week, experience, Premier League proven, good quality backup to Martinelli, good quality backup to Bukayo Saka. I think he's better than Reece Nelson. I think he's better than Fabio Vieira in those wide positions. He's better than Smith Rowe in those positions. That might not be a bad bit of business. He's probably at an age and a stage of his career where he knows, I'm not going to be the main man at Arsenal. I could get a run of games. I back myself to go there and make an impact. But equally, if he's not good enough to be consistent enough to win you titles, he's definitely good enough to be an impact player from the bench. So, Gooners, what do you make of that? And sticking with you, Ian Ladyman here has expressed that a deal for Declan Rice to Arsenal looks increasingly possible this summer, and it would suit the England international. He goes on to state that West Ham are talking about 150 million, were talking about 150 million pound fee a year ago, but that would require an auction, and it doesn't look as though there is going to be one. It does very much appear like Arsenal are leading that race for Declan Rice. And we spoke about this story many times, and I know a lot of our viewers are like, why again, Terry? Because this is what we do on transfers. We look at what the different journalists and outlets are saying, and you put a body of work together as a fan channel and say, right, the vast majority is saying Arsenal. What do you think? Is there a sting in the towel? What do you think may happen? And as it stands, it appears more and more teams are pulling away from Declan Rice because of the likelihood of Arsenal getting it done. The only thing that remains now is Edu getting it over the line for Arsenal. I think this is the type of sign-in that the season ends, you have your parade if you win the league, or you lick your wounds if you come second. A day or two goes by, and I think what Arsenal should be doing is going bang, There's £80 million. Bring Rice in, get it done. Create no drama, quick, done deal, complete the deal, make him an Arsenal player, ready for pre-season, get it over the line. That's what I think Edu and Arsenal need to do with this. The longer they leave it, depending on who other people sign, maybe there's some injuries in the some of the players. You don't want to create a problem later on down the line. A bit like with Mihailo Mudryk. Look, they've got Lissandro, brilliant player. Leandro, sorry, a brilliant player. But I still think there was a deep desire from Arteta to get Mudryk. They just left it too long. So there's a few things here for Arsenal to do. But again, viewers, I want your views and feelings. Excuse me, just still trying to get rid of this cold. On that. I want to go to Man United for a second here. There was a big story that went around yesterday that Avram and Joel Glazer are increasingly confident of remaining in control of Man United by securing outside investment. And we saw this trend and we saw Man United fans panic. We saw rivals, of course, go massively over the top, thinking to themselves, oh, that's it. This is good. This is going to be great. We're going to see Man United's takeover fall apart. And of course, they could still remain. That is a possibility. To say that's wrong 100% would be crazy. But what you did see yesterday was a 10% reduction in the valuation of the club just by that news coming out. I do believe that a lot of Man United fans would weaponize against this if it happened and would pull their funds and their support away, which would be very damaging. Now, of course, TV money is going to increase and there's talks of sponsorship increasing, but that isn't going to happen as easily for Man United if fans pull away. Fans still hold a huge sway in the valuation of the club and income that they make. Aside from that, this is more for me about competitive tension, trying to get Sir Jim, the Qataris, and others involved to bid more money. What I see more likely to happen with these um, small investments in terms of the billions the club's worth, but large to us as working class people, is you may see a collaboration between a main bidder and one of these investment companies. I feel that is personally more likely than the Glazers staying. I do feel they want to leave. I do feel they want to get out. Otherwise, they could have just taken this. They've been offered these small amounts of investments in each of the 3 stages of bidding, but yet they haven't accepted them. So unless the big bidders pull away, I think Man United are in a pretty comfortable position. Now, I wanted to touch on Chelsea as well. Simon Phillips here, brilliant guy, says here the BBC confirmed that Chelsea have held recent talks with Julian Nagelsmann. However, they maintain that Chelsea do not have a preferred option to replace Graham Potter, and the process to find a new manager is ongoing. I've been saying this for days, weeks, and it may even stride into months, bleed into months. That should be a concern for Chelsea fans. It doesn't mean that they're not following a very diligent process. It doesn't mean they may not get it right, but Chelsea fans have to scrutinize, and Chelsea fans have to be skeptical of what they are seeing and what they are reading. Because no clear favourite could potentially mean they have no idea of the ideology of football they want to play, the type of management they want. That also means who the hell have they been buying these players for? For what system, what style of manager have they been purchasing 600 plus million pounds worth of players for? Because personalities, attitudes, behaviors, attributes, playing ability all matters when you're buying players. There has to be a style of football that you believe you're buying for. That would be my concern as a Chelsea fan. As a United fan, this is music to my ears. Great. There's no main target. You don't know who you want. You don't know what direction you're going in. That's great news for the rest of the top 6 rivals. But for Chelsea, this should be something they're pushing back against. This should be something that they are demanding answers with and looking for not a rushed, not a hasty conclusion, but one that has an element of pace, precision, and a sort of targeted approach about it, I think is key. Everyone who's tuned in today, I want to say thank you as ever. You don't know how humbling it is that you tune in. So many of you tune in so regularly. Please leave us your comments below, subscribe, and of course, download the Top 6 podcast that is available now on Spotify. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.